Just in the next few days, I'm going to be meeting on a great report that I've received on the greenhouse gas emissions of the university, all of the university. This is done by a group of students. In fact, they're students from the Evans School, and they immediately figured out that we had things like, oh, the Friday Harbor Laboratory, and oh, don't you run that great big ship, and doesn't that thing burn a lot of oil, and doesn't that really stink, et cetera, et cetera. And they did a very, very fine job of identifying and laying out all of our carbon footprint for all of the things we do on campus, and it's going to be great to work with them to find out what more we can do. But we also, besides how we behave ourselves, we also have to make sure that we are leaders in research and teaching, the places where we can make distinctive contributions. Right now, we know from an inventory that we took, we have more than 400 faculty across our campuses, 400 individual faculty who are already working in areas of the environment and sustainability. Atmospheric science, ocean and fisheries, climate impacts groups, the Evans School, the list goes on and on and on and on. Virtually every school and college has faculty working in this area. And we got a very nice surprise last week when the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change was awarded a share of the Nobel Prize along with Al Gore. And of course, it turns out that something around 50 faculty and countless graduate students from the University of Washington have been contributors to the work of the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. But we have more work to do despite all of that. And one of the biggest challenges we're going to look at this year, we started last year when Phyllis Wise asked a good number of folks to come together in a planning charrette and think about whether or not we are well organized to do things to take advantage of all of the work in the environment. I only know one thing about environmental studies in other universities. I have never seen a model that I am jealous of. I don't know any university that's been able to put together all of the resources of an institution in a successful fashion. I could point to countless failures. The academic world is littered with failures in that regard, or at least minimal successes at best. I'd love very much to have the University of Washington be the university that gets that right, that figures out how to take full advantage of the extraordinary people we have here to do something that no other university is doing in environmental science. That's something that we're going to be doing in the coming months. And lastly, the other thing that I mentioned 2 years ago was the need to do something unusual in information technology. I pointed out then, and I still believe more firmly, that information technology is now and will continue to be the most important variable in how far we can advance scholarship. We now have reached a point where we can gather data, we can bring in streaming amounts of data, Neptune is a great example, in greater volumes, at greater frequency than we can possibly analyze, visualize, transport, and even manipulate. And we have to find ways to do that. The universities that can figure out how to do those things better than any other university are going to be enormously successful. And so we are approaching right now the legislature and the federal government talking about an e-science project, a project that would put faculty, hire new faculty and take advantage of existing faculty to serve all of you, to go to all of the academic departments to help them with large-scale data problems, to help them develop new modes of interacting with the data they have in everything from literature and art to environmental science to medicine and everything in between. And if we can do that, I still believe we will have an enormous advantage, and I think we're very, very well positioned to do that. So all of those efforts, the research efforts, the teaching efforts, the behavioral efforts, I think look extraordinarily promising as we look into this coming year. But let me return to where I started with that little pronoun. You know, no roadmap, no vision, nothing that we have can be achieved unless we do it as a common effort, unless we do it as a university. I want to be really clear about one simple thing, and that is that how well we did last year, how well we're going to do in the future, how well we're going to do in any of our activities, it all depends upon one thing, and that is how well we do together, how well we do with each other, how well we take care of our people and support them. Recruiting and retaining and supporting our people has to always be the most important goal that we have, because that's what drives the University of Washington. We need to continue to develop our folks, their skills, their attributes, their leadership skills. We need to make sure that they have whatever they need to fulfill their capacity and their abilities here at the UW, whether they're a student, whether they're a staff member, a professor, or even a humble administrator. Some of us are educable. We need to continue to celebrate our successes and hold up the people who've done great things for us and say, this is what it means to be a great member of our community. I'm delighted by the new wall in Mary Gates Hall for our Rhodes Scholars and the new wall of fame that's now in Suzzallo Library celebrating our faculty successes. We need to continue to do more and more of those things all of the time. We also need to make sure that we communicate with each other clearly, that we make decisions as transparently as possible, that we engage in real shared governance so everyone knows the stake they have in the future of the university, that we adhere to our core values so everyone inside knows what we stand for. And we need to lead each other effectively and in a slightly different way than you read about in most of the books and literature. You know, one of the things that I constantly marvel at is the fact that the Pacific Northwest is indeed a different place. That leadership here comes out in different and interesting ways. I look often to the businesses that have popped up here, the indigenous businesses that have sprung out of the Northwest. Costco, Starbucks, REI, Nordstrom's, you know the whole list of them. And when you look at those organizations, one of the things they have in common is the way they treat their people and the way they exercise leadership. None of those companies, despite the competitiveness of the world they work in, none of them have decided that the right thing to do is to race to the bottom, to pay their people as little as possible, to chip away at all of their benefits as much as possible, to break whatever unions in the way that needs to be breaking. All of them have taken precisely the opposite approach, to recruit their people, to treat them well, to do everything they can to support them, to set very high expectations to be sure, and to hold each other accountable for those expectations and make sure that there's a commitment to not let your colleague down because you didn't do your job, but to treat people well and to be supportive and to create an environment that works together. That's what I want the UW to be known for. That's what I want everyone to think of. A university that cares about how it treats its people every bit as much as how well we pursue excellence. Because pursuing excellence goes very nicely with how we take care of our people. Last year was a great year. And I want to thank all of you for it because you delivered it. Not me, not any of the senior administrators. It was all of you. You got it all done. You did some amazing things. Frankly, in most of the performance metrics that we could sit and spend all day going through, the institution outperformed what I expected. It was quite a remarkable year. I think that we've got a chance now to have an even better year going forward. And the best thing about what happened last year is we also had lots and lots and lots of people place big bets on us. Our donors shoved a lot of chips on the table. The legislature put a lot of chips on the table. The federal government put a lot of chips on the table, and they were all betting on the purple and gold. We have to show them that that was a good bet. We have to show them that next year, to stick with my ugly metaphor, it's time to double down on your bet because we're going to do even better. And for that, I look forward to working with each and every one of you. Thank you very much for joining me today. It's a great pleasure to be here. Thank you.